The small bell above Raza's barbershop door chimed as another customer entered, but this time, the sound was accompanied by something far more unusual, a series of worried chirps and the distinctive rustle of scaled wings against fabric. "Please, you have to help," Lisa pleaded, her voice carrying the exhaustion of a sleepless night. She cradled what appeared to be a small emerald-green creature against her chest, its tiny wings twitching with distress. "Ember hasn't stopped, crying for hours, and I don't know what else to do." Raza set down his scissors and turned from the mirror where he'd been trimming his own beard. The sight that greeted him should have sent him running. A baby dragon no larger than a house cat, whimpering pitifully in the arms of a woman whose eyes held an otherworldly shimmer of gold. Instead, Raza felt his heart clench with sympathy. "Poor little thing," he murmured, approaching slowly. "What's wrong with her?" "She's teething," Lisa explained, her accent carrying subtle undertones that seemed to resonate in harmonics no human throat should produce. "Dragon younglings get anxious when their first flame teeth come in. The pain makes them restless, and they can sense their parents' distress, which only makes it worse." Raza nodded as if this were the most natural thing in the world. In his 23 years of cutting hair on the frontier station of Kepler 442b, he'd learned not to question the strange and wonderful beings that called this place home. The colony was a melting pot of dozens of species, all trying to carve out new lives among the stars. "May I?" he asked, extending his hands toward the dragon. Lisa hesitated, then carefully transferred the whimpering creature to Raza's arms. Ember immediately nestled against his chest, her tiny claws gripping his barber's apron. The dragon was surprisingly warm, like holding a living ember, and Raza could feel the rapid flutter of her heartbeat. There," Raza whispered, gently stroking the dragon's head with one finger. "You're safe now, little one." But Ember's distress only seemed to intensify. Her chirps grew more frantic, and small puffs of smoke began escaping her nostrils, a sure sign that a baby dragon's anxiety was reaching dangerous levels. Lisa paced the small barbershop, her hands clenched into fists. "I should have stayed on Draconis Prime," she muttered. "At least there, the elders would know what to do." Raza watched her pace, noting how her shadow seemed to flicker and shift, despite the steady lighting in his shop. There was something otherworldly about Lisa, something that made the air itself seem to hum with barely contained energy. But right now all that mattered was the crying baby in his arms. "Wait," Raza said suddenly, an idea striking him. "I remember reading somewhere that dragons are naturally drawn to music, something about harmonic frequencies resonating with their inner fire." He carefully settled Ember in one arm and reached for his old acoustic guitar, which he kept in the corner for slow afternoons. Lisa stopped pacing, watching with curious eyes as Raza positioned his fingers on the fretboard. "This was my grandfather's," he explained softly, beginning to pluck out a gentle melody. "He taught me that music has the power to heal hearts and calm spirits." The moment the first notes filled the air, Ember's crying began to quiet. Her tiny head turned toward the guitar, golden eyes wide with fascination. Raza smiled and began to play more confidently, weaving together a lullaby his grandmother had sung to him as a child, with improvisational flourishes that seemed to come from somewhere deep within his soul. As the music flowed, something magical happened. Ember's breathing slowed, her tiny body relaxing against Raza's chest. The smoke stopped puffing from her nostrils, replaced by contented little rumbles that vibrated through her small frame. "Incredible," Lisa whispered, her own tension visibly melting away. "She's never calmed down this quickly for anyone, not even for—" She caught herself, biting off whatever she'd been about to say. Raza continued playing, lost in the moment. He watched as Ember's eyelids grew heavy, her tiny claws kneading against his apron like a contented kitten. The melody seemed to weave itself around the three of them, creating a bubble of peace in the busy frontier settlement. "You have a gift," Lisa said quietly, settling into one of the barber chairs. For the first time since she'd entered, she seemed truly relaxed. Dragons are usually wary of other species, especially when they're young and vulnerable. But Ember, trusts you completely. All creatures respond to kindness, Raza replied, transitioning into a softer, more complex piece. My grandmother always said that music is the universal language. It speaks to the soul, regardless of species. As Ember finally drifted off to sleep, her tiny body warm and peaceful against Raza's chest, Lisa studied the human barber with newfound respect. She had encountered countless beings across the galaxy in her long life, but few had shown such natural compassion and intuitive understanding. "What's your name?" she asked. "Raza," he replied, still playing softly to keep the dragon asleep. "Raza Hashmi. I've been running this shop here for about 5 years now." Lisa nodded thoughtfully. "I'm Lisa, and this little one is Ember." She paused, seeming to weigh her words carefully. "We're between homes right now, looking for somewhere safe to settle." Something in her tone made Raza look up from his guitar. There was a depth to Lisa's golden eyes that spoke of vast experiences and hidden knowledge, but there was also loneliness there, and the fierce protectiveness of a mother doing whatever it took to keep her child safe. "Well," Raza said with a gentle smile, "Kepler 442b isn't much to look at, but it's peaceful here. Good people mostly. And—" he looked down at the sleeping dragon in his arms. "I'd be happy to babysit any time you need help with this little one." For a moment, Lisa's composure cracked, and Raza caught a glimpse of overwhelming gratitude in her expression. "You don't know what that means to us," she whispered. As the afternoon sun filtered through the barbershop windows, casting everything in a warm golden glow, Raza continued to play his guitar while a baby dragon slept peacefully in his arms. He had no idea that he was cradling the child of Lysandra the Eternal, one of the most powerful dragon queens in the galaxy, or that his simple act of kindness had just earned him the protection and friendship of a being who could level mountains with a thought. All he knew was that sometimes the most profound connections were formed not through grand gestures or shared origins, but through the simple recognition of a need and the willingness to help. In that small barbershop on a frontier world, surrounded by the gentle strumming of an old guitar, 3 very different souls had found something precious, the beginning of an unlikely family. And in the weeks that followed, as Lisa and Ember became regular visitors to his shop, Raza would discover that the universe had a way of rewarding those who opened their hearts to its wonders, even when they had no idea just how wondrous those wonders truly were.